19 and live Facebook Live. I really want to come up with a name with this and have it. Maybe we'll do Carpe Diem moments, Carpe Diem encounters, or just we could do Jesse Live, Jesse Brisendine Live, something like that. But I need to add that to my to-do list, and we can all figure that out. Anyways, I'm going to give everybody a moment to log in here. And while you're doing that, be sure to say hello. Let me know where you're logging in from. What has been the tastiest thing you ate today? Say hello, where you're logging in from, and what has been the most delicious or tastiest thing you have ate today? And then I'm just going to share this very quickly on my other Facebook pages. On yours, or invite some friends and family to join in, please feel free to do so. This computer is going horribly slow, so I can tell I need to clean it up and reboot it. You know when you have those old computers and you make a pact with it that as long as you can negotiate it with it, if you keep helping me with this, I'll let you go a little bit longer. And you do that, but then what ends up happening, you start to try to get a little bit more out of it. You try to squeeze a little bit more out of it. That's what I'm doing. It's definitely should have been shut down, given a break, and I'm saying no, let's just do a little more. Let's make it through the day. Let's make it through the weekend. So as you're logging in, be sure to say hello, where you're logging in from. I just have 2 more quick shares to do, and then we're going to be ready to rock and roll here. And what's been the tastiest, most delicious thing you ate today? A huge thank you to all of you who interacted, who joined in yesterday. Before we start with today's, is there any questions at all about yesterday? Those of you who were on live, any questions that came up, anything that needs to be cleared up? Was it helpful? Was yesterday's training helpful? And let's see who's on here. Give me some feedback. Let me know. And why is this not loading up? Uh-oh. Just doing that today, huh? Well, that'll change. Okay, who's on here? Linda. Hey, Linda. Sweet and spicy orange zest drink. That sounds delicious. Paul, what's up, Paul in England? Hey, Christine, lemon chicken. Lemon chicken with broccoli? Awesome, very helpful, very cool. Okay, there we go. Now it's working. Awesome. I want to dive in on resolutions today. Well, we're going to keep our resolution. And then, incidentally, are you all liking this, having it be an evolving, kind of an ongoing dialogue? So we're focusing on one central topic for the week, and then we're kind of picking it apart and working through it over the course of the week. Is that helpful, or do you like it more when we're jumping around and doing various topics? My kind of vision for this is to have central themes every week, and then we'll have focusing solely on anxiety, focusing on. We'll have one week where we're focusing on healing from loss or dealing with those kinds of things, and then it gives us more time to evolve thematically throughout the week, opposed to having to try to condense everything in a little short time. So is this helpful? Do you prefer it more? Hey, Clancy, good to see you on here. Also, if you haven't done so yet and you want to be on the notification list for the email for the up and coming trainings, you can use that link to register right there. Also, you can make sure you subscribe, get notifications, all those kinds of things. Okay, cool. I got some yeses. Thank you for that. And I'll have an email going out at some point this weekend with next week's schedule. And my intention is just to use that as a resource for us going forward. So I need to jump into today's because I have to be off here by 4:30. I have a really tight connection meeting right after this. So I want to make sure that we dive into this. We have some time for questions. We can break this down a little bit more tomorrow. But so inevitably what's going to happen is today's title, if I could talk, is what to do when the resolution momentum starts to fade. Now, inevitably, what's going to happen with all of us when we set a goal, we set a resolution, we come into it fired up, full of vim and vigor, right? We get some gumption, the proverbial fire is lit, and we we find the energy to do the extra stuff. The classic example that we talked about so much yesterday was the New Year's resolutions for the gym. People show up, they got their new clothes on, they're ready to go, they're excited, they're motivated, and then they do a full week of working out. Maybe they make it the second week. The problem is they didn't count on being so sore. Eventually, they start to do a little bit less, a little bit less. Then they're only there 3 days, and they're only there 2 days. And by the fifth or sixth week, they say, "Oh, the hell with this! This is too much. What was I even thinking trying to do this?" And then they shelve it for next year. We do that with our relationships, right? Oh, my resolution this year is to add more passion and more romance into my relationship, and so we make an extra attempt to reach out and connect with our partner. We compliment them. We do these kind of things, and then they don't reciprocate quite how they want, or it's not as sexy as it seems in the movies, or maybe somebody's too distracted, or there's something comes up and we forget one day, and then pretty soon the best attempts at doing it have been diminished, and 6 weeks in, we're right back to where we were. So this kind of plays out over and over again. We get this momentum, and we come in, and it starts to fade. I've shared with you. I can't remember if I did. Please forgive me. Merit is worth sharing again. Last year, one of my I have a sweet tooth, and it's not like I'm that sweet tooth where I'm hiding in the corner and I have bonbons and ding dongs and whatever else they are stashed around, hidden in my pillows, hidden under the bed, or any of those types of things. Nor is it a sweet tooth where I feel like I have to have it all the time. My sweet tooth is more of, it's kind of that, what is it? I see food. So if I see it, if it's in proximity of me, I'll eat it. And not only will I eat it, but I have this logic in my brain that goes, okay, here's 3 servings of it. I don't want to have this every day. I might as well just eat it all right now. So then that way it's out. And then I rationalize it to myself saying, oh, this is a much healthier choice to do it this way than to actually throw it away or keep it, because I don't want to throw it away. I don't want to waste food. I have and starving children commercials when I was a kid that put the fear of God in me, that if I wasted any food and I didn't clean my plate, I was just this horrible human being damned for hell because I was wasting it. And because of that, when I have sweets, I still wrestle with that. So the point is I wanted to have this goal. I made this challenge for myself, this resolution to not have any sweets, and specifically desserts, no dessert in 18. What I qualified as this were things that I really enjoyed: cookies, cupcakes, ice cream, donuts, cinnamon rolls, breakfast pastries too. Anything that falls under that category. If it had frosting on it, if it made me salivate when I thought of it, that was a no. And it was something that I was really wanting to do, but I also had this fear that I was going to miss out on something delicious. I had this fear that I wouldn't be able to follow through. And when I first started going, the first couple of weeks, I was fired up, I was motivated, I ran into the first initial wall. I was being with a group of people who I really love and care about. They're a lot of fun, great time to hang out. The types of folks you just smile. You can't help it. They bring out the best in you. Meal, and then it comes time to dessert. Everybody says yes, 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 and then it gets around to me. Now, this is put in front of me because I really, it's not so far in where if I gave up on it, it wouldn't be a big deal. And there was a part of me that went, oh my God, I want to have this dessert because I want to connect with it. The dessert. I didn't want to disrupt, to break up things. I wanted to have more bonding, more connection time. There was also this other part of me that was fearful of missing out. This side of my head was saying things like, Jesse, this could be the best dessert you've ever had. Jesse, this could be the most amazing thing ever. Jesse, this might be the only time you're ever here. Jesse, what if the comet hits and then you miss out because of this stupid goal you made? right? This was dialogues that are literally going through my head. And perhaps some of this before too, when you make a goal, you make a resolution, and inevitably we all will come up against obstacles, challenges, deterrents to keep us from getting there. And so it's what we do in those moments of that is ultimately going to shape our success and our ability to accomplish our resolutions going forward. Yesterday, we talked in quite a bit of depth that clients are doing to resolutions and have been successful at keeping resolutions in the past. And right now that each of those clients, I think if they're really honest, and I'm really honest with you, everybody hits roadblocks. Everybody's running into challenges. I remember one client talking about, and we'd been working together for quite some time. And so I knew both husband and wife in the dynamic with each of them individually and as a couple. And then the first inevitable obstacle happened, right? Part of what it meant to rekindle the romance for them was to give up on some of their TV time. They'd come into a pattern of watching Netflix, watching whatever it was, and that was kind of what they did at the end of the day. They could be together, hold hands and stuff, but they didn't really have to interact. They didn't really have to talk. They didn't have to go deep. So here they are, and they're really committed to trying to go deep, trying to bond, trying to reconnect, rekindle. And somebody tells them that there's this awesome new show on. I don't remember what the show is. And they had a little bit of a disagreement that day. Now, any of you who have ever been in a relationship, are currently in a relationship, or know what a relationship is, knows that usually that time after you have a little bit of a disagreement can be a little awkward, a little uncomfortable. Feelings are hurt, egos may be bruised. And so often the last thing we want to do in those moments, and by a show of emojis, show of hands here, you can back me up on this. The last thing we want to do in those moments is try to rekindle the romance with our sweetie after they just got done not agreeing with us. And even worse than not agreeing with us, they chose a completely different side than our side. Right? It doesn't really scream, Barry White, hey, let's get it on. That's not really my Barry White voice. My Barry White voice would be more Barry White, hey, let's get it on. Well, that was horrible. And if Barry White sounded like that, I think he'd probably be thrown in prison rather than having multiple albums sold and being the inspiration behind many of our conceptions. Barry White aside, I'm really grateful that you all humor my humor, and I don't completely lose you all right now. So here they are. They had this argument. They had this challenge. Now there's this double temptation. They don't really want to rekindle. They don't really want to honor their commitment. They don't really want to do the romance stuff that time and work on it and go deep because they're hurt. Their egos are bruised. Their feelings are hurt. They were in opposition. And rather than coming together, they went like this and they fought and they pulled apart. Now there's this other temptation, the Netflix, right? And something lucrative, something that's comfortable for them, something that's easy for them. And it's something that sounds like they have a testimonial from someone else. Hey, this is really good. So the carrot is extra dangly, kind of like with me and my friends when I was at the meal and everybody's getting dessert. So I'm here, my clients are here. Both of us have this temptation coming in front of us, which typically the things that are going to derail us faster than anything else is going to be the temptations, the external temptations, right? There's because let's be real. To set a goal, to keep a resolution, it's fucking hard because it requires sacrifice, it requires discipline, it requires dedication, it requires focus, and it requires saying no. And in those moments of wavering, there's these external temptations that will usually come from friends, family, loved ones that seem really lucrative at the time. And after going through of trying to work on improving ourselves, having a little dessert, watching a little Netflix, it doesn't seem that bad. But the problem is that once you break the agreement with yourself, once you lower your standard that you're setting for yourself, once you've broken your own word and your own commitment to yourself, it is going to be really damn hard to ever make it again and keep it. Because the moment you do that, you go back on the commitment you set, the resolution you made, the goal you set. The moment you do that, once you're telling yourself unconsciously is, I'm not capable of achieving this, that I'm not worth this goal, this resolution, I don't deserve it, that I don't believe in myself, that my standard for what's this is just like this, and quite frankly, it's almost like I'm full of shit. And then what happened, and this is where the real pain comes from, is it's going to be increasingly harder for you to ever achieve goals, ever achieve resolutions, all on to yourself. And once you break it once, it makes it so much easier to break it again. Right? We have this expression to label external people who lie to us. We'll call them liars. And we'll say something often to the effect of a liar. And so we'll fault find, we'll finger point and whatnot in people who lie to us. But gosh, we let ourselves off the hook easy when it's about lying to ourselves, don't we? We may get angry and pissed off if somebody lies to us, but when we lie to ourselves, oh well, and we'll usually justify it with, oh well, it's not that big a deal. Oh well, it's just that one time. Oh well, I wasn't cut out for this. Oh well, I got it over my head. Is this making sense so far? Yes? Are you all with me? So here's a few things. Here's 3 or 4 things that you can do when you find yourself in this place that I found myself in, that my client had found themselves in. Is number 1, remember what we talked about on Tuesday. Emotion creates motion. We need to have some sort of compelling emotion to get us in motion. When we start to run into the proverbial wall, we need to go back to that first thing. And what was the initial emotion that got us going in the first place? What compelled us to take those first steps? What got us out of bed? What got us going? What started generating the momentum? And we need to reconnect to that. Because usually when we're making decisions, in considering breaking our agreement, considering violating, saying the hell with our goals, we're not weighing that against the reason why we set in the first place, right? We're thinking about immediate pain. Gosh, I really want that dessert. Seems so delicious. Boy, this is really uncomfortable sitting here with my, after just fighting. Watching Netflix. So we don't weigh it against why we got into it in the first place. And I appreciate all of you saying yes and acknowledging this too. It's good. I want the feedback to make sure we're all here and I can explain stuff if we're not. So we need to go back to the beginning and acknowledge, why did we get started on this in the first place? What compelled us to take action? What got us going? And bring that to the forefront of our focus. The second thing we can do is dig deeper into the why behind the goal, the why behind the resolution in the first place. Why did we set this goal? Why did we make this resolution? If our resolution was to lose 20 pounds, why did we want to lose 20 pounds? What's the deeper purpose, the deeper reason in that? The deeper we deep and the more we own what's underneath, the more powerful we're going to be in accomplishing and achieving it. If we set surface goals, if we make surface resolution, little emotion, those are going to be so easy to discard, like last year's fact. Why? That example just popped out of my head because I still wear some of the same clothes I've been wearing for the last 5 or 10 years. So it's really ironic that I just use fashion as an analogy or a metaphor. Don't judge me on the metaphors or the analogies, but take the meaning with it instead and use it, okay? So just remember, the messenger doesn't necessarily have to be. Anyways, so we need to dig deeper. Another thing that we can do is to incentivize ourselves, right? Incentivize ourselves. So we can start doing micro bargains with ourselves. If our goal is to lose 20 pounds can seem like a really big goal. But what if we just make a deal with ourselves to, if we hit 3 pounds this week or 2 pounds this week, then we can, do a little something special to celebrate. If we hit 5 pounds, when we hit 5 pounds, we can do something. If it's to rekindle a romance with our partner, right? A micro goal, micro incentive might be that if once we do honor our commitment for 5 days, 6 days, whatever it is, then we get to sit down and watch Netflix, and we get to do it together. It becomes an incentive versus just a thing there. For me, with my dessert, it was little micro incentives when I need them. So once I made it a month without doing it, then I got to do, I made something for myself. So like I got to go and spend 20 minutes at the beach taking photos. I could have done that whenever I want because I'm fortunate enough to live near the beach. But what I did was I linked it up to a reward. So I can't go there unless I accomplish this. And it helped incentivize me to do that. And the last thing, you have heard me say this again, and if you keep coming on these, you're going to hear me say it again and again and again. Accountability. Accountability is absolutely crucial. It is absolutely crucial. The reason I will say accountability in probably virtually every single one of these things, because you guys, we cannot do this alone. It is fucking hard as heck. It is hard as heck to do this alone. It is hard as heck to figure ourselves out. I could sit there with all I know and all I understand about people, and I could try to self-analyze myself, and it would take me an eternity to figure out what drives me. It's when I get external feedback from people, from coaches, mentors, accountability buddies, whatever that is, that I really set myself up to start to thrive, to excel. And so if you really want to keep the resolution momentum going, you really want to keep your goals going and growing, then you need to have some sort of accountability, whether it's a friend, a family member. I really encourage you not to necessarily have somebody who's your closest family, because sometimes with family and friends, we may be a little resistant, a little trigger shy to give the feedback that they need. And when we're up against walls like this, when we're momentum's kind of, fading, we need the good proverbial kick in the ass from time to time to compel us to take those next steps, to compel us to keep pushing forward. So that's what I got for you all tonight. Is this helpful? And what questions do you have? I'm sorry to end it so abruptly, but I do have to go in about 5 minutes. So I have time for probably 2 questions. And just to quickly recap while we do it. Number 1. So first of all, if you want to get on the reminder list for the Facebook Lives, you can use that. I mentioned yesterday I had 5 strategy sessions open up next week. The one I had left for this week got snagged, so it's filled. 2 got pulled for next week. So there are 3 spots open on the calendar for next week. If you want to grab one of those, you can use this link here and set up a time that works best for you. Okay, quickly recap. So the few things that we talked about today about making what to do when your resolution momentum starts to fade. Number 1, reconnect with remember, emotion creates motion. And I apologize, I know I'm talking a little faster. I just want to make sure we get this all in. Reconnect with the initial emotion that you decided on that got you going. Number 2, dig deeper into why you started. What's the reason why? What's beneath the surface? What's the deeper part of that? That's where the real juicy emotion lies. And that's the emotion that's going to be the fire. Number 3, incentivize yourself, right? Give yourself a little incentive, and make it so it's something you earn. For me, it was giving myself some time at the beach. For my clients, it was taking the Netflix that they normally just watch anytime, and that became a reward system for it. When they honored their commitments to the relationship, they got to watch Netflix together. And number 4 is accountability. Get some accountability, a coach, a mentor, somebody who is going to hold you to a higher standard than you may hold yourself, because that's where the real magic happens. So I hope this has been helpful. Oh, cool. Helpful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Any questions about this at all? Questions? Yes, no? I'll give 1 more minute to type in questions, and if there's not one that pops up, and while we're doing that, tomorrow, as a reminder, Friday, tomorrow, January 4th, will be earlier in the day. It's going to be at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. So I'm going to bounce some of these times around over the next couple of weeks to see where it seems like is the most effective, and I want to give everybody an opportunity to jump in. And then what we'll do over this month is we'll develop some set times that we can all predictably rely on. Also, feedback is appreciated if you like this format where we have a weekly focus and doing it this way that we're doing it. And would that be more beneficial going forward? Or do you like it where it's kind of one day it's this, one day it's this? So tomorrow, 12:30 p.m., if you suck at keeping resolutions, you need to watch this. Tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, that's 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, that is 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Median Time. If you suck at resolutions, you need to watch this. It's going to be a fun one tomorrow. Also, remember tomorrow we're talking about implementing. Mondays are going to be your goals of the week. Fridays will be wins of the week. So please show up tomorrow with a win of the week. It doesn't have to be some big, massive one. Your win of the week could be that you just, if you drink water every day because that was a goal of yours. That's awesome. So just show up with a win to contribute, to share. I want to make sure that we create a habit here, a community that celebrates one another, because everyone out here is doing some really neat and extraordinary things. And I want to be sure we acknowledge and celebrate that because each of you is awesome. All right, I don't see any questions. So I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your presence. If you have suggestions about titles, show titles too, put them in there as well. And last but not least, wherever you are, whether it's morning, noon, or night, remember Carpe Diem, seize the day, seize the moment. You only have this moment right now. It's the only thing you're promised. It's the only thing you're guaranteed. So make the absolute most of it. Sending lots of love to each of you. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Bye-bye.